Okay, so this goes along with what we did yesterday, but we're going to focus on the word problems, not necessarily translating equations. So again, when we're dealing with systems of word problems, we normally see it in standard form. So we're looking for ax plus by equals c, where x and y represent the two objects in the equation in the word problem, and c represents your total. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Number 11, our garden supply store sells two types of lawnmowers. The smaller lawnmower costs $249.99 and the larger mower costs $329.99. If 30 total mowers were sold and the total sales for a given year was $8,379.70, how much of each type were sold? So first, we want to identify x and y. X is going to represent the smaller lawnmower and y is going to represent the larger. Okay, now these are not as straightforward as yesterday's word problems, okay, because they've broken up this information. So what they've told me is that the smaller one costs $249.99 and the larger costs $329.99, and then it stops right there, because it then tells us that the total sale is $8,379.70. So my first equation is 249.99x, because that's the smaller, plus 329.99 y equals this huge number. This is not going to be pretty. Okay. Then all they tell me is that there were 30 total. Well, we have to have a second equation in order for it to be a system of equations. So this is my cost total equation. And then we have the item total equation. By item, I mean 30 total mowers. So something equals 30. Well, all I know is that there were smaller ones and there were larger ones. So the total would be x plus y equals 30. So we have a cost total equation, and then we have an item total, the number of each total, okay? So let's take this first equation because it's the ugliest one. We're going to subtract 249.99x. Wowza. They couldn't give us better numbers. So 329.99y equals negative 249.99x plus 8,379.70. Then I'm going to divide everything by 329.99. So I'm just going to do that right here. And we are not going to take it further than this. I don't know about you, but I do not want to simplify those. So I'm leaving that right there. On the second equation, we're just going to subtract x. So y equals negative x plus 30. Okay. So as crazy as these equations can be, which they are, we are going to type them in. So the first one is negative 249.99 over 329.99x plus 8379.70. Make sure you type those in correctly. Over 329.99 equals negative x plus 30. Oh, the other ones are prettier. We're going to let that graph. Okay. So there's the first one. Taking it sweet time because those 99s are not the prettiest. Gotta let them load. Almost there. There we go. And there's the red one because it's super fast. Second, trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. Okay. And we get a nice pretty number after all of that mess. So x is your smaller one. So we had 19 of the smaller. And then y is 11 of the larger. That's how many were sold of each after all of that. So let's do it again. Number 12. The town recreation department ordered a total of 100 baseballs and bats for the summer baseball camp. Baseball costs $4.50 each and bats cost $20 each. The total purchase was $8.22. How many of each item was ordered? So x and y, always got a label. X is going to represent our baseballs. And y is going to represent our bats. I just do that based on the order they gave it to me in the problem. I'm not like wrong. You can do bats and baseballs, but weird. Okay, so remember, just like the one before, we have our cost total and we have our item total. Or item total, cost total. It doesn't matter the order. So let's see if we can figure out our cost total. So the cost total is anything dealing with money. So we have $4.50 for each baseball. So that's $4.50x plus 20 each for our bats, so that's 20y, equals the cost total, which is 822. Then we have our item total, which means all they told me was that there was a total of 100 baseballs and bats. So baseballs plus bats equals 100. Item total, okay? So we're going to do our cost total first. So we're going to subtract 450x. So 20y equals negative 450x plus 822. Going to divide everything by 20. And I'm going to leave it like that because the simpler the better, okay? Over here, I'm going to subtract x. So y equals negative x plus 100. Then we're going to type these bad boys in. So let's see. Oops. All right, the first one, negative 450 over 20x plus 822 over 20. And the second one is negative x plus 100. Hit graph, let it load. So we are trying to figure out the cost for baseballs, or no, how many baseballs and bats, because they already gave us the cost, so that's what makes it different. Now, if you notice, that's done loading, so I have to zoom out, zoom 3, enter. The reason why is because that 822 was so large in price that it's going to be, my intersection is going to be out more. There we go. Then once I see my intersection, second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. And there's my items. So for that much money, that cost, we're going to be able to buy 76 baseballs and 24 bats. 13, a group of 40 children attended a baseball game on a field trip. Each child received either a hot dog or a bag of popcorn. Hot dogs were $2.25 and popcorn was $1.75. If the total bill was $83.50, how many hot dogs and bags of popcorn were purchased? Okay, so X and Y. X is going to represent hot dogs, and Y is going to represent popcorn. Okay, again, we have our cost total and we have our item total. So my cost total is 225X for hot dogs plus 175Y for popcorn equals a total of $83.50. Whereas my item total, all they told me is that there were 40 children going, so I know that there's a total of X plus Y equals 40. However many hot dogs and popcorn. All right, so then I solve. Minus 225X. So 175Y equals negative 225X plus 83.50. Divide everything by 175. And I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to subtract X on this side. Y equals negative X plus 40. Type this in with those crazy decimals. So the first one is negative 225 over 175x plus 83.50 over 175, and then negative x plus 40. Okay, just make sure your math is correct. The steps are the same every time. Just be careful how you type it in, because you can do it all correctly but type it in wrong, which means you will get the wrong answer. And I'm honestly just mumbling until I get my answer on here. All right, second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. So we're trying to see how many hot dogs, which is 27, and how many popcorns were sold, 13. Okay. One night at a theater sold 548 movie tickets. An adult ticket cost $6.50 and a child ticket cost $3.50. In all, 2,881 was taken in. How many of each ticket was sold? All right, so X is going to represent adult tickets, and Y is going to represent child tickets. So again, we have our cost total and we have our item total. So my cost total is 650X for adults plus 350Y for children equals 2,881. Then we have our item total, which is adults plus child, is 548 tickets sold. So over here, we're going to subtract negative 7, or subtract 650X, sorry. 350Y equals negative 650X plus 2,881 over 350. Again, I'm going to leave it right there because that's prettier. Then I'm going to subtract X, so Y equals negative X plus 548. And then we're going to type both of these in. So I have negative 650 over 350x plus 2881 over 350. Oh man. So I had forgotten to put the other one. Negative x plus 547. Nope, 548. Yeah. Don't rush. Okay, let it load. Okay, I had to zoom out once on this one, but once I let it load, second trace 5, enter, 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 we get our, how many tickets were sold of each. So adult tickets, they sold 321, and child tickets, they sold 227. Okay, 3 more practice problems. So on number 15, it's pretty much exactly like, it is exactly like number 14, so I'm not going to do that one again. Number 16, a collection of dimes and nickels is worth $3.30. If there are 42 coins in all, how much of each kind of coin are there? So X is going to represent our dimes, and Y is going to represent our nickels. So again, we're going to do our cost total and our item total. But here, they disguise our cost total with dimes and nickels, because we have to remember that a dime is worth 10 cents and a nickel is worth 5 cents, okay? So on my first equation, my cost total is going to be 10 cents for a dime plus 5 cents for a nickel, which is Y, equals $3.30. Then we have our item total, which is X plus Y equals 42. Okay, then I solve, so minus 0.10x, negative 0.10x plus 330. Wowza. Come on, Miss Rodriguez. Then I'm going to divide by 0.05, and I'm going to leave it just like that. Then subtract x on this side, y equals negative x plus 42. I'm going to type both in, so I have, okay, negative 0.10 over 0.05x plus 330 over 0.05 and negative x plus 42. Let it load. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. And we have 24 dimes and 18 nickels. Okay, I'm going to do one more of those because this time we're dealing with nickels and quarters. So nickels is going to represent X and quarters is going to represent Y. So it's pretty much exactly like number 16. We have our cost total and our item total. So our cost total this time is 0.05x plus a quarter, which is 0.25y equals 490. And then my item total is x plus y equals 42. So then I'm going to subtract 0.05x. So 0.25y equals negative 0.05x plus 490. Divide everything by 0.25. Leave it like that. Subtract x, so y equals negative x plus 42. Okay. I only have to change my first one because, wow. I only have to change my first one because the other one was the same as the previous problem. Oh, I need to slow down. Okay. Okay, now let it load. Okay, once it's done loading, second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. And we get two numbers. I have 28 nickels and then 14 quarters.